Hey everybody, welcome to week 2 of Pop Culture. I'm happy to be here and I was very impressed with a lot of the answers I saw from last week, so please keep up the great work. I was actually, not that I didn't expect great things from all of you, but I was pleasantly surprised by how much thought you put into those questions. So as a reminder, I'll make sure that there's at least one video and activity or set of questions at the beginning of each week. And your job is to get that to me, whatever the activity or questions are, by the end of the week. I really encourage you to do it on Monday and then you're done for the week, or maybe watch on Monday, reply on Tuesday. Don't wait till Friday, but that is technically the last day. Also, I do read all the comments you guys send, so some people were requesting this guy, so I brought Rupert in to say hello. Say hey, Rupert. Welcome to week 2 of Pop Culture. So I want to talk about just a few things. We've discussed how pop culture, I was very happy to see no one, I believe, fell for my last question last week. Pop culture is not an easily defined topic or set of considerations, obviously, but there are multiple ways we could approach it, right? Going from the idea of popular as, for example, well-known or well-liked, but not necessarily liked, just known by a lot of people. Sometimes it can mean targeting the sort of dumbest people, if you want to call it that. The populist idea of duping people into falling for things is sometimes what people mean when they talk about popular culture. And we can also talk about popular as from the people, like coming from the bottom up rather than top down, where people are telling people what to do. This is like folk culture. This is like singing songs in your garage with your friends, or playing baseball on a small local team or something, right? Like that's popular in the sense that it's from the people. I think of it as sort of like grassroots. So that's popular culture. Again, we can mean anything from the greatest works that have been produced by humanity to simply signifying meaning, creating meaning, whatever that, however you do that in whatever way. So there are many ways we can combine these things, and I want to illustrate that with a little quiz. Okay, so I want you to do the same thing I'm about to do. I want you to send me a video and I'll explain a little bit more in a minute. But if anybody has seen, I grew up on Sesame Street, and if anyone has seen one of these things is not like the other, that's sort of what I want to do, except I want to work it into a more highbrow concept with popular culture. So I want to tell you about 3 films I really, really love. And one of them I'm lying about, so your job is to guess which one. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is, you can get to know me a little bit better. It's always good to know your professor. But also, I want you to think about what assumptions and where are you getting your idea about what I mean and what would fit or what wouldn't fit with my likes and dislikes. And so I want you to do the same thing after this video. All right, one of my favorite films, Fight Club, David Fincher. I won't say anything else. Fight Club, David Fincher. One of my other favorite films, 8.5 by Fellini. And then one of my other favorite films is the latest Star Trek that just came out. I guess it's not that recent. I guess it might be within the last few years, but yeah, Star Trek. Which one do you think I don't like? So I won't get into detail, but I will say David Fincher and Fight Club, I love Chuck Palahniuk, who wrote Fight Club. I love most of David Fincher's work, and I think he did an excellent job on that. So yeah, I've seen that film a lot. Yeah. Federico Fellini, he's sort of like an art house director. He's big among film buffs, which may make you think that he's maybe pretentious, which if you're forced to watch him in a film class, I would probably think he's pretentious too, but I happen to find 8.5 at a good time in my life when I think I was going from high school to undergrad, and I was told about this, or I heard people talking about this. A lot of cool directors that I found cool at the time said Fellini was a good director, so I watched 8.5, which is such a strange film that I needed to watch it immediately again. And so I probably watched that film like 20 times. Yeah, I probably gave it away because I couldn't think of who directed the latest Star Trek. Maybe that will alienate me from some people in the class, but I have nothing against Star Trek. I know some people might be like, well, Chris seems like a nerd. Star Trek is nerdy. He probably likes Star Trek. I just don't. I'm not that into it. Again, nothing against it. I like Star Wars, but kind of same. They're both cool, but I'm not that into it. And so I don't know if you found that difficult or if you got the right answer, but I want you to think about, what are the underlying assumptions? You know maybe more about me because you've had me in another class, or maybe you've only seen a few videos of me, but you can kind of see like, okay, here's this white guy in his 30s who has a PhD, so what would fit with that and what wouldn't fit with that according to my beliefs and according to my previous culture experience. So I want you to do the same thing. Come up with three things. They can be films, they can be books, they can be um, music, like music genres, or they can be specific artists, anything that relates to pop culture, and give us three that are relatively similar, but obviously not the same. And we'll guess at which one we think you like or don't like. And I'm going to ask you as well, what made you think so? So introduce yourself. So, for example, you might say, "Hi, I'm Chris. I'm a first year journalism student here, and my three favorite books are ABC." So yeah, make it about a minute maybe and send it to me. I'll put it up. So obviously other people will see this. Don't make it anything private. But I think you'll find it's interesting because one of the things we'll find in this class is that popular culture, you already know it, right? You're not taking this class because you've never heard of popular culture. It's interesting that you probably haven't taken a class on popular culture before, but you've been studying it maybe tangentially, maybe tacitly, maybe in some kind of like visceral way as opposed to an academic way, but you've been studying pop culture since you were born. It's very different than like math, for example. So oftentimes people will sit you down and be like, this is math. You're going to study it. You're going to graduate from grade 1 math to grade 2 math to grade 3 math, and you're going to continue to study it, and here's why. Nobody generally sits you down and says, this is popular culture. You're going to learn it. Here are the values. Here are the belief systems and blah, blah, blah. And yet you learn that all anyway, except it's all implicit. And the hard thing about this class is not figuring out what is pop culture and what is not pop culture, or how do we think about it. You know a lot of stuff. The hard part is articulating how do you know, or where are these assumptions coming from, or what is the implicit meanings and values that we all kind of understand, but it's hard to articulate. So it's the articulation part that's difficult. Anyway, I'm going to stop this video, and I want you to think about what you might do. By the end of the week, I want you to send me a short minute or less video where you introduce yourself, maybe say what year you're in, where you're from, whatever you want to tell us about yourself very briefly, and three things, one, not in that order necessarily, but one that's true, another that's true, and a third one which is false. But don't give it away by saying something that clearly lets us know that's not your favorite thing. And then yeah, it'll be an interesting experiment. You look more excited. Yeah, he's not happy.